And man, do you think that we're underrated with DJ Reader as a pass rusher?
I don't see. It depends what you're defining as a pass rusher. Like, you can be a great asset to the pass rush game without being a good pass rusher.
100% the double teams.
If you are double teaming in the middle, if you are taking two guys up, you are creating opportunities for your guys to go there and do their work. And you look at Cincy, you look at how Trey Hendrickson's feasted whilst he's been there. Like, he's been one of the best pass rushers in the league, full stop. But it helps that you have an absolute man mountain like Reader in the middle, causing havoc there, making opportunities for him to be able to go do his work. It's, Bengals have had some good guys on that D-line. So absolutely, I think he's going to help. Will he individually get the stats? No. I mean, it was the same when Aleem McNeil came out. I'm like, he's not going to get the individually flashy stats, but he's going to help you, and he's going to be able to create opportunities for others. And you saw in year 3, certainly, that that's the way he's going. So I think it's going to be the same with Reader. Now you've got Reader and McNeil, and that'll free McNeil up to do a little more pass rushing. I think he's going to be the one whose stats you're going to see go up this year, and Reader's going to be a part of that. So, yeah, him individually, I'm not so sure, but him as part of that overall unit, absolutely, he makes us a lot more dangerous. So it was a huge pickup for us. Like, it really was. We needed that second bona fide guy in there, and now we've got him. So, and he's a perfect guy to help train up Broderic as well going forward. Like, it just works in so many ways. But our pass rush will be better for having Reader in there.
Perfect answer. I literally can't even. There's no reason to add to that. That's exactly what it is right there. He's going to free up other individuals, and he's primarily the run stuffer, just like Raw Podcast says, and that's what he is. But he's going to free up other people like Hutch and Aleem McNeil, and that's good. Craig Hogg says, do you think that Broderic and Martin will be able to step up if Reader gets injured? Kurt, do you think so? If not, how do we fill that void?
Ooh.
Woo-wee.
Ouch. That's a I'm not sure if he, I mean, it depends on how his camp goes, and how he works this off season, and then what Reader can teach him doing training camp. So that's a to be determined on that one. I really can't say yeah. I can't say no either. So he's a young guy now. One of the biggest additions to our pass rush isn't a player. It's the defensive line coach, Terrell Williams.
There you go.
He's going to be a key cog in how our pass rush goes. And you team him up with Kelvin Shepard, who was our pass rush coordinator last year. It wasn't where I wanted it to be, but it was improved last year. 40 sacks, 10 more than it was the year previous. So you look at it, it's still not where I wanted it to be, but I think that Terrell Williams will help Broderic Martin and Reader if Reader gets injured.
Now, Ant-Man, I already know you're going to say Justin Simmons, so I'm going to say somebody else. Who is a free agent you would like the Detroit Lions to sign?
I'd go safety again. I'd take Quandre back.
Quandre, he wants that safety.
He's still, I do. And I think it's a good thing to have. Like, you've got 3 very talented young safeties in there in Iffy, Kirby, and, technically Branch, if you want to play him in there. But for me, it just needs that guy who's just going to, because you can tell there are times in the games where the guys make mistakes. They make mental mistakes. Like, we all know that's true. We saw it last year, even with Gardner Johnson in there. And I think he was too far up his own ass to be able to really be a mentor for those guys. Like, I want a true professional who's going to help them whilst being a great player on the team at the same time. I think, like, this time next year, if them 3 do well, even if it's just a 1-year guy, he comes in, plays really well, and then goes. This time next year, like, we've got 3 very young, very talented safeties who are going to be our core for years to come. But they're not there yet. Like, if he's got half a good season, Kirby's had a rotten second year, like, we've got to get someone in to help them, to cut these errors out, cut these mistakes out, and help make sure they're developing properly. Because, like, secondary is the one thing we've not developed properly. We talk about the development of guys on this team and how great this coaching staff are. They have been, except in the secondary. So
Yeah,
We
that's a
need
good
an
point, yeah.
experienced body in there. And as long as it's someone who's playing at a high level, who can be a leader and lead from the front with these young guys. So if it's not, not the one I want, I'll have Quandary. I think and plus he loves the city as well. So, you got sort of added bonus there. He's still playing at a good level.
Do you guys think we need to address the linebacker position? Personally, I don't. I think we're good right there. I think they're just going to stick with what we got, in all honesty. And I like what is that's a pretty easy question if you ask me, because Derek Barnes and Alex Anzalone and obviously Jack Campbell, they're going to be the future and now linebackers. Hashtag big year for JMO feels like will determine if to pick up his option. Do you agree with that, Kurt? This is a big year for the Jameson Williams.
I think it's a big year for him. Will it determine if he pick up his option? I don't think so. It's only his third year. I think it's going to be the next, not this year, but the next year coming up is going to decide if we pick up his option or not.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you right there. It feels like this is his first year, like fully actually to do a whole season. So hopefully he can come in here and really produces that number 2 as we need him to. What's up, Jessica from Facebook? Appreciate you stopping in. Brad gonna pick up a guy we didn't even see coming, like he does. Does do that quite a bit. Davenport was not brought here to sit on the bench. I haven't heard your thought about Davenport yet, Kurt. Your thought about Marcus
Uh,
Davenport?
he's a Brad Holmes special, man. 1 year prove it deal. Can you get your career on track? If he comes back and he comes here and he can get himself back on track, familiar with Aaron and Glenn and Dan Campbell, um, it's like I said, it's a Brad Holmes special, man. You bring a guy in who needs to revitalize his career, and he has this opportunity to do it here in Motor City. If he doesn't, well, it's a 1 year rental, and you can go about your business.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully he definitely does a good job. We need him to step up, Marcus Davenport. I personally don't have like a ton of faith that that's going to happen. Hopefully I am completely wrong, and this guy turns out to be a stud. Just don't have a lot of faith. Just don't. Let's see. Let's get a question here from Be Well to in Evolve Inc. Could Bud Dupree be a free agent addition? Ant-Man.
Oh, sorry, just got run that one by me again.
Could Bud Dupree be a free agent addition?
Linebacker. Well, I guess he's more of a hybrid. Is he play his days at linebacker these days? Or because I know he plays hybrid sometimes as well. I guess this goes back to the linebacker thing, doesn't it? I think this year you've got to see what you've truly got at linebacker. Like, for one, Malcolm should get more snaps. I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face. When he came in and played against Tampa last year, like his first drive, he came in that game, he made all 3 stops on defense, and he'd been cold for most of the season. This guy gives you everything, and you want to really push him this year to see if he's going to be part of your rotation. Same with Barnes. You've got to make a decision on Barnes this year, so you want to play him as much as possible to see what you've got with him. With Jack, you want to play him as much as possible because, you spent a first-round pick on him. You want to see him develop, so I'm not that uber fussed about bringing in someone to help that linebacker. I think this year we need to answer questions about the guys here. Because if Malcolm and Derek are good this year, that solves a massive problem going forward. That's your linebacker depth set for a very long time going forward. And we will not have to worry about that for another 4 or 5 years. So, no, I'm not that fussed. I want to see Malcolm get his due this year. He's earned it more than anybody. And so, and same with Barnes.
The question is, how will Lions use James Houston, situational or starter? That is a good question from Raw Podcast. What do you think how they're gonna use James Houston, Kurt?
I think it's going to be probably a hybrid. I think he's the reason why we do not sign Bud Dupree, because they're going to want to develop him coming off that injury from last year. We saw what he could do his rookie year when he only played half a season and almost was leading the team in sacks. He plays that role, because Bud Dupree, he's an outside linebacker, but he plays more on the edge where he's a pass rusher. That's where the bulk of his I guess production comes from, is out on the edge. So I don't see them bringing in Bud Dupree because they want to develop James Houston, because they signed him for a contract. He's under contract. I think they want to develop him, and how they use him is going to show why they didn't would not sign a Bud Dupree.
Jawan Jennings, restricted free agent for the 49ers, still hasn't signed his tenure about making him an offer and bring him into the receiver mix. So they try to take our Brock so we can turn around and take their Jawan. That's what he's trying to say right there. I honestly don't know much about Jennings and what he has produced and what he could bring to this team. What do you think about potentially signing him if he had not signed his tenure? Because I don't even know that he didn't sign it. Yeah, man.
I don't know. I'm not really that fussed. Let's just say again. So with the receiver room, I'm not as bothered as a lot of like we've lost Reynolds really, and that's it. You know, with JMO hopefully taking an increased role up on the offense this year. You know, we've got Khalif back, we've got DPJ in as well. I think we're going to be just fine. Like, Goff threw for over 4,000 yards last year. He spread the ball a lot of other places other than just Josh Reynolds. So I'm quite happy going forward with this group this year if necessary. And then you draft another guy next year. But this year should all be about finding out about JMO because, you know, as someone asked earlier, is it going to be the year we decide whether we pick up his option or not or make a long-term... Like, you want to answer questions about guys on your roster. You don't want to hinder them. So... You know, I'm quite happy to leave it to Amon-Ra and JMO this year and the supporting cast around them. And also with Peoples-Jones. Like, if he comes in and is a solid Reynolds-like guy this year, we're going to be a really good team still. So I'm not too fussed, really.
I want to see what the guys do in preseason that already got. Antoine Green, who we drafted last year, what can he do, right? We get Isaiah Williams. What can he do? If these guys absolutely stink it up, I guess you could look for another one. But I trust Brad Holmes' ability to find and develop the talent because they have developed. Like every player that we especially like Derek Barnes, he developed. So I want to see some of these players develop and see what we can do. That's what good organizations do. So I want to see what they can do there. Hashtag LNU, our offense is still top 5. Where do you see our defense being this year, considering that we were 23 last? That's a great question, Kurt. Where do you see our defense being this year?
I'm seeing middle of the pack. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. 16, 17.
Oh, I love that.
I love that. Yeah, and that'd be a vast improvement. So that's where I'm shooting my shot for around that. If we keep that number one run defense and actually improve our pass defense where we can be around that middle of the pack, 16, 15, 16, 17, I'll be happy.
What about you, Ant?
See, this is now year 4 of Aaron Glenn. If you're going to tell me it's anything less than halfway up the pack, then I'm going to be very... Like, I'm pretty sure I said last year I wanted them to be halfway. It's year 3, but this year you're giving him DJ Reader. You're giving him an entire new secondary, basically. 2 high draft picks, 2 guys you've traded picks for from other teams who've got experience in this league. You know, you've got to start producing bigger eventually. Like Ben Johnson, every year on year, has had this unit near top 10. Like, I think the standard has to be a lot higher for him this year. If we want to go to a Super Bowl, we have to be better. So I would like to be in those upper teens at the very least, if not knocking on the door of the top 10 into the top 10, because we had one of the league's best run defenses last year. We've not really lost that much. In fact, adding Reader to it makes it better. So I would expect the run defense to stay as good as it is. Where we were getting sliced and diced was through the air in the secondary. And we've put a lot of investment into that secondary, and we need to see repayment on that. So, yeah, I'm earning, low T, it's got to be 10, 11, 12 minimum. If it's not, even if it's 16, 17, 18, I'm like looking bye-bye, because 4 years and you can't do better than halfway is not good enough.
It's got to produce this year, man. We can't be in the 20s again. Year 4 of this, I think I would lose my S because we have put a lot of resources on defense. It's time for it to produce. It really is. There's no excuses here. I agree with you. I think we got to be in the team. 16 has to be above 16, in my opinion.